All right, hold on to your hats, guys. We're going to do a masculine check-in from the feel of things. It's pretty hairy out there. I'm using my new deck. I haven't read the book yet. I'm just really excited to use it. But it's supposed to, it says love who you are. It's supposed to be nice. So, we're going to be nice. I hope you know it's an effort. Let's see what's going on. Then when my nice deck's like, no. Tear him a new one. Tear him a new one. Oh, am I getting permission from the universe to be a little bit more rough with my delivery? Do you like it rough? Okay, here we go. Protect your boundaries. All right, that's the lesson. Protect your boundaries. Number 39. Let's see what we got. 39. Oops. Turn off my mushroom light. Okay, here we go. One of the best ways to love your fabulous self is to set and maintain your boundaries. You'll have way more energy for things that matter, like your own sovereignty, if you quit spinning it on situations that drain you. No is a necessary magic, and it will fuel your enthusiasm when yes shows up. So what if people don't like or approve of you when you're keeping true to your most sacred bonds and honoring your needs as sacred? Your value doesn't come from outside sources. It doesn't even come from within. You were born with it, and it is immeasurable. Act like it. Protect the sacred space of you. Somebody's saying yes when they know they should say no. It's exactly what I thought. But I think what the universe is reminding me to say, rather than scolding you, is looking at this as a lesson of thinking of yourself as sacred, thinking of yourself as the thing that is losing out by giving yourself too freely to anybody. And giving yourself can mean romantic, it can mean sexual, it can mean your work, it can mean your time, just anybody who has access to you, any of that. If you're giving it too freely when you don't really want to do it, then you're draining yourself and you're becoming a lower vibration version of yourself if you don't hold those boundaries. In order to maintain a higher vibration, you need to cleanse, you need to detox, you need to allow things to fall away. Hold on, I gotta pause and clear off some storage on my phone. All right, that took forever. I'm sorry. I mean, to you, it's a blink of an eye, but like, you missed it. My poor cat tried to jump up in my lap, and at the patio table right now, and he clunked his head on the bottom of the patio table. Little Dorcas. He's an old man. He's like 15 years old. All right. Yes is when we should say no. The moon in reverse. And I'm doing my field deck too, by the way, people. I'm trying to graduate away from my newbie deck. But the moon in reverse talks about things that are hidden, sometimes deception, but also like things coming to light. So Prince of Cups. That's kind of like the Page of Cups. This guy shows, how he's contemplative. He's sitting there meditating. Down here it says independence. Concerning our theme, which is saying yes when you should say no, I think that's what you're realizing. You're making a mistake in some way right now. And that's part of this process, is learning from your mistakes. When you first kind of awaken or activate, whichever you're experiencing, or both, there's like there's a point at which you become aware of the dissonance in your life, and you start kind of identifying which parts don't feel right anymore. The problem is I think that you've had a couple of go-arounds because you are seeing all the signs that are there, and you just ignore them. And then you see them again and you're like, nah, I'm not ready for that yet. And then you just keep going around and around and around. And every time you go around, you feel shittier about yourself. And so you realize that, like, part of what is necessary to being a healthier version of yourself is creating some sovereignty, is creating some boundaries around yourself, is to draw a line about whether or not people get access to you. Like that you don't just say yes to everybody. You don't just offer everybody to come over to your place and that you'll cook them dinner. Like, how about you keep those suave moves to your 20s and grow up a little bit? Like, maybe it's time to stop playing children's games when you're a grown-up. Let's see, our next one is Six of Wands in reverse. Exactly. See that upright? Success in reverse. That's why success is fleeting right now. That's why you're not getting the results that you are expecting to get. That's why it feels like you're in a stroke of bad luck. It's because you're using children's games to play an adult game. You have to evolve. You have to grow. Otherwise, the universe makes it painful. Watch my other video. Anyway. Life's painful for you right now. What's this? Strength in reverse. Yeah, man. Oh, baby. It's rough. I know. I can feel it. That's the part I can feel. It's just like, there's so much depth there. And you just won't look at it. You're afraid of your own depth. Whoa. Seven of Wands. You're in defensive position. Look at her defending against... Except it came out in reverse and then kind of flipped up. Because I don't think you're really defending against... like, you are defending against things outside of you. It definitely feels like that, at least for you. But once you realize that it's your own truth that matters, it becomes a lot easier. Magician upright. Exactly. Like, you decide. You decide what you want. You're defending all these positions. You're defending yourself. You're trying to defend your career. You're trying to defend your image. You're trying to defend your personal life. You're trying to defend your finances. You know, like, there's a lot that you can decide matters. And part of that, you have to realize, is also flexible. Like, if you are obsessed with maintaining a certain image, and that image includes opulence, includes demonstrations of wealth, then you are going to spend more than you have. I used to work in a bank in downtown Seattle, right across from the flagship Nordstrom. It was the financial district of Seattle. Nordstrom's, Macy's, Neiman Marcus, you know, like all the, like the big department stores, you know, kind of like New York City, except, you know, Seattle size. Just absolutely beautiful in the holiday season. But anyway, everybody would come over. All the people who work there would come over looking amazing in their like designer clothes. And then they would come and deposit $5 into their overdrawn account, trying to get it positive again. They wore their wealth. They wore their wealth. There's very few people that can truly demonstrate their wealth to the degree that like people act like they do. The people with the most money are the people that are frugal. That's why they have the money. But they're frugal about certain things. They wield their money like a weapon, like a power stick. I'll just throw money at it, make the problem go away. And I feel like that might be something that you're doing. Throwing your money around. Ooh, I just knocked that thing. Throwing your money around, making yourself feel powerful. I feel like there's a big image that you're trying to maintain. 7 of Swords. Deception. Pretending to be something you're not. You're masking really, really hard right now. And that takes a lot of energy because you're deliberately holding up a facade for the consumption of others only. So that's you saying yes when you should say no. That's a perfect example of that. You're putting up a facade for somebody else to have certain feelings about you. But nowadays, most people can decipher that. Like when you're younger, it's more difficult. But when you're older, like your radar gets more keen. People can smell that a mile away if you're being inauthentic. And they won't really want to do business with you. Because it's not just about looks or charisma. You know, like, that's young people's games. If you're a grown up, which I assume you are if you're watching me, then, and you would have to be somewhat intelligent, like somewhat grounded and worldly. So I'd put you in your 30s, you know, 30s, 40s, something like that. Some of the late 20ers might still be in there. But I think that, you know, you got to come down to earth. Like, and also, like, people are just they're looking for experience. They're looking for integrity. They're looking for accountability. And that's one of the things that you're coded to struggle with. Those are some of the lessons that you're being asked to learn. You've been asked to learn your accountability a few times now. Two of Wands, planning. And that came out underneath that Seven of Swords, the deception card. That's what I mean. When you are putting up a facade and projecting yourself to the world, trying to create an image for the world to see, it can feel like it takes mental energy to do that. You have to plan, you have to plot, you strategize. You're spending too much time on that. I'm not saying it's something that you don't need to think about at all, but I just think for it to come out as such a clear row right here, and that you're in defensive position in general, and part of your realization right now is that you need to be independent and sovereign. That means that you have to combine those parts of yourself. The facade and the real you need to find peace and find symbiosis inside yourself. Right now, they're separate. There's your ego and there's your inner self, also your higher self. And those two are too far apart. You always have an ego. You just have to strip it down so that it becomes more of a tool rather than a guide. The ego should never have their hands on the steering wheel. Princess of Wands, exploration, in reverse. Let's clarify that. Ten of Swords, despair. One more. Judgment upright. The Devil in reverse. Oh, baby, you're so sad. That's part of what you're having a hard time with. You feel like if you look at the deepest parts of yourself, that you'll just get swallowed whole. Like the swamps of sadness. You feel like you've done too much damage. Just knock my cards over. You don't even know where to start. There's a word for that, you know. It's called shame. Brene Brown is the world's leading specialist on that. You should probably read some of her books. Princess of Cups, reversed. We have almost all the page energy here. It's inner child wounding. That's what's so hard about this. So you know that this is going to lead all the way back. Three of Wands. It's going to lead all the way back to where it started. which is your family of origin. The people you love and respect, and have looked up to, and have taken advice from, and would die for. You have to realize that they are flawed humans, and sometimes they give shitty advice, and sometimes they're shitty people. We all are. Parents do better. It's part of what motivates you to be a better parent, is noticing the flaws in your own. You look at them, you understand them, because you understand the consequences that they caused in yourself. And then you're able to move forward. You're able to untie that knot and move forward. And the thing about doing that is you de-shame it. That's part of what makes it workable. Like part of what has you frozen in time right now is you feel like once you go deep, that it's just going to be this like sadness that's just going to overwhelm you in the despair. But that's not true. That's fear talking, fear of facing your shame. Sorry, this noise is going on. Jesus. Sorry, my neighbor's dog is like coughing in the other yard. Anyway, sorry, that totally distracted me. But yeah, okay. So you go back and you lovingly de-shame it. And you de-shame it from both perspectives. So it's like, there's part of it where it's like, first you have to identify what, like, so you look at your life right now and you're like, this part's shit, this part's shit, this part's shit. And you follow the line back to childhood. You figure out what kind of combination of factors cause that behavior. And some of it is from your parents, and some of it's before. Some of it's generational trauma, generational wounding. Most of mine was at this point, but you got to unravel all of it. And then, but like when you unravel that, when you unknot that and you de-shame it, it becomes a power. It makes you more powerful. Because you don't lose it. It becomes, that's alchemy. Like you take the thing that hurt you and you learn enough about it so that you can wield it. You alchemize it. It starts to make you grow. And the more you do that, the more powerful you become. Right now, all of your power is hidden in your depth, the depth that you're afraid to go to because you think it's going to swallow you whole. It's not. It's going to set you free. You just have to be brave. It's going to take a little bit of time. I'm not going to lie. It's not going to be easy, but you can do it. I did it. You can do it. Oh. 6 of Cups upright. It's like your nostalgia card. And the universe. Yeah. You know, it's time to cycle out childhood. You know, so like where I am, what's happened to me, this card went with 4 of Swords, rest. This is like the first year in my life that I am starting as me. authentically me, 100% me. You know, I'm still pretty rough around the edges. And I still have some tethers that I'm working on, but like, this is the year of me. The fire horse is me. And you can get there too. Like, you really can, where it's like, you won't feel like you're pulled in so many different directions, that you won't have to be defending against all these people that are like, you should do this, you should be more like this, you should do this thing, you should just blah 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 blah, you know, like all of these things that are just, and you're just like, you just, like, one at a time. Why does this trigger you? What does this make you feel? What does this remind you of in your body? Where does that come from? When did you first hear that? Take that down to the nubs. What first caused you to feel this way? You know, like, let's try an example. Let's say competitiveness. Like, you realize that, like, the way that your parents raised you was, they never really raised you to, like, resolve conflict. It was always kind of like, if you didn't get along with somebody, it was because there was something wrong with that person. Like, obviously they're just jealous. Obviously they're a lesser human being. You know, like, you should just leave them anyway. Right? Like, your parents never taught you how to resolve conflict. Your parents never taught you how to be wrong, because they never allowed themselves to be wrong. Because if they were wrong, then that meant that, like, the tower that they had constructed, which is that they are a happy family, would fall down, because then they would realize that they're not happy, which is why they did XYZ, which traumatized you. What did they do? I don't know. But this card read is someone who is traumatized by an event. And I can feel the resistance. You don't have to get there right away. You don't have to touch the event right away. But start over here. You know, just like maybe the big events over here or something like that. But, like, start over here. Just start with some of the, like, auxiliary stuff. You don't have to deal with the big one yet. But give yourself some small wins in there. Allow yourself to be like, hey, I realize that, you know, my parents didn't teach me how to resolve conflict. And so when a relationship gets stressful, whether it's a work relationship or a romantic one or a friendship, when we start to butt heads, I explode and I tell this person how wrong they are. And if they don't agree that they're wrong, then they're out of my life. You know, like, is that something that you're experiencing? Because that might be something to look at, right? Like, that's how you grow. That's how I do it. You just chug along, you know, like, something causes you agitation, something makes you not feel good, and you're like, what is that? What is that? And you just get curious. Where did that come from? Why do I feel that way? And then the more you do it, the faster it becomes. And so, like, something happens to you, and in the moment you can be like, that was fucked up. I disagree with you. I'm going to stand up for myself right here and right now. Instead of having that happen a day later when you're ruminating about it and you're standing in the shower and you're like, son of a bitch. You know, like, that used to happen to me all the time. It doesn't anymore, because I'm acting in alignment with myself. I can shoot from the hip and I get it right in a way that makes me satisfied with myself most of the time. I'm not perfect. I'm still very, my heart is still kind of closed. I still feel very guarded, like you, which is why I'm able to pick up on this energy. But it's like I think that there's some really great opportunity here. Let's do one more Love Who You Are card, okay? One more suggestion from the universe. So, okay, so the final thing, so the final 3 cards that came out was, what is that? The Six of Cups, which is kind of like nostalgia, looking at things, looking at your childhood, like it says innocence here. So, childhood. The Universe, which is like full completion, and 4 of Swords, which indicates rest. 4 of Swords is also, and so like this is the idea similar to what we were talking about, is saying yes when you should really say no. This is talking about a conservation of energy. It doesn't necessarily mean you need to sleep more, although you could. But in regards to this reading, we're specifically talking about a conservation of energy, saying no, setting firmer boundaries. And by doing that, you look through your childhood and figure out why you say yes when you should say no. And then that way you can stop it. You can stop that from influencing you. You universe it out. You complete that cycle. Off you go. Right? Okay. So that was the final message there. We're going to do one more from our Love Who You Are deck. And let's call it a video, man. This one's long. All right, what popped out? Radiate Gratitude. Oh, that's perfect. It's number 16. Let's see if I can read it. I'll be quick, I promise. 16. Oh, I turned right to it. This is a moment to set aside any concerns or distractions. Allow your circumstances, stresses, and challenges to be tucked away for a bit. This moment is about the sacred, intentional pause that can create gratitude. Intentional pause. Rest. Have you been running for too long, my sweet? Take account of all of the dreams you once held that are now your reality. Think of all the people, places, and events that had to line up to grant you your wish of where you are right now. From the sun that creates enough energy in a single day to run the machines of Earth for 1,000 years, to the oxygen so freely provided by the planet filling your lungs in this very moment without any effort on your part. The universe conspires to delight you, and there are a million unseen forces moving in concert right now to support your life force. I want you to remember, as you go through this journey, this hero's journey, I want you to remember that it is a concert of events. There's more layers to this world than we realize. And it's very likely that the energy being that makes up you chose this so that you could become a very specific type of person that needed to do a very specific type of thing. And in order to make you this way, they needed to set up certain dominoes in your path. You needed to learn these lessons because the person you become at the end will be an emperor. Right now, everything is page energy. Young. You're acting very young. You're coming from a place of a wounded child. And it's time to address that so that you can move forward. I hope this helps because it kind of smelled like a dumpster fire. I'm not going to lie. Good night.